Good afternoon, everybody. So, I was watching. Well, let me get started. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Um, Sorry. But today I was watching the live footage of the shooting at the happened in California at the school, right? Whenever I first got on it live, it said that there was 3 people shot that were in critical condition. The other 3 people were shot, but they were okay. So an update on that was just recently is that one boy and one girl did pass away today from that shooting, and the person who did the shooting was also one of the people that was in the critical condition. They were unaware that the person that did the shooting was actually a part of the people that were being hospitalized. I know that right now they're working on saving him. So my heart goes out to everybody that's involved in that. I'm sorry that happened over there where you're at. But there's not much I can say or do to make anybody feel any better, right? But as I was watching the live chat, I was seeing the comments that were running through the chat. One of the comments said, "You Americans should not own guns." I can see how you would think that, considering you possibly aren't American. And you're probably living in a country where there is no guns, or at least for civilians. And that the only ones who do have guns are criminals. But I want this to be known is that just because there's no guns doesn't mean that there will be no violence. Before, there was a large amount of gun crimes because it tends to be a little easier to shoot someone than it is to stab somebody, because you have to get up close and personal with that person, right? But stabbing still happen quite a bit here. And where you're from, there's probably a lot of stabbings that go on where you're at. So just because it's a gun does not make it a problem as far that it will go away if you take it away, if you take guns away. Now, another comment that was running through the chat was, we need better gun laws. Oh my God, I swear to God, every time that there's something tragic that happens, why is it the first thing you have to say is we need tougher gun laws? Was that a gun owning, law-abiding citizen that committed that crime? No, it wasn't. That kid wasn't even legal enough to own a gun. He wasn't even old enough to own a shotgun or a rifle, which at the age of 18 is when you're able to own a shotgun or a rifle, and at the age of 21 you can own a handgun, and then you have to get a license if you're going to carry it on you. Right? But this kid was 15. They said today was his birthday, so he's actually turning 16. But you always go back to we need tougher gun laws. We need tougher gun laws. Stop that. It's not the gun laws. It's not. You know, I don't know what was going through that kid's head. Right? I don't know if it was depression, if it was bullying, if it was just revenge over something somebody did, if it was just an act of violence, like he just wanted to do it. We keep acting like every kid is innocent to this core, but not every kid is innocent. You have to remember that you were once a kid before. Every fight you were in, every time you were in a situation where your anger got the best of you. You've had bullies. You've all these different things. The only difference is we acted differently for those kind of situations. You know, we weren't very quick to pick up a gun. And a lot of times after we fought it out, we could actually talk afterwards. As long as the other person that you fought wasn't rubbing it in your face that you lost. Right? You would sit there and you would fight somebody. After you got done, you may not shake hands, but you go your separate ways. And the very next day, when you see each other, neither of y'all bring it up. The fight has been fought. Whoever won, won. There was no point in going back and sometimes dabbling back in something you've already dabbled in. Right? There was no point in bragging about whose ass you kicked, because really you might kick this person's ass, but the person he knew or his family and stuff like that could have possibly came after you, and you probably knew this. So you know, sometimes fights happen, but I wish I would stop doing this. Stop blaming the gun laws. Tell me how that kid bought a gun. Tell me that kid went down to Academy and was all like, hey, I need a gun. Tell me that kid went down to a gun shop and said, hey, I need a gun. If it was that parent's gun, then that parent is just as responsible as that child. As bad as it sounds. Because part of getting my license for my gun is they told me that if anything was to happen, I am responsible for whatever happens with my gun. As far as someone else getting it, someone in my home getting it, or in case I have to discharge it, and if I discharge it carelessly, I will still be held responsible for my actions. You know, I am a gun owner. I have my license to carry my gun. I got a gun to protect myself and my family. My kids know that this is not a toy. And they also know where I stand when it comes to this kind of stuff. Because I've told people before that if a teenager commits a mass shooting at a school, he should be put to death. And I know that's going to make a lot of people mad that I'm saying that. Oh, but he's a kid. Oh, he didn't know no better. You know, everybody knew. Everybody knew when they were younger what they can and cannot do. That everything you do has a consequence. You're telling me a 15 or 16-year-old doesn't know that if he shoots somebody, he could possibly go to jail or die? They know this. Don't blame it on the video games. Video games didn't make him do that. When people get angry, they're going to lash out. And how they lash out can vary. The stronger they are, they tend to bully. The weaker they are, they tend to use other means to attack somebody because they don't have the strength to do so. Now, I feel bad for that family because now that family is going to have to live with the decision that their child made. You know, I've told my kids that if they were ever to do something like that, that they would get put to death. And it would break my heart. But I would not sit there and tell them not to do it. Because everyone should know. Everyone should know better than that. And I love my kids to death. I would die for my kids. But if they were ever to do something like that, there's consequences that come along with it. Maybe we're getting too soft on these generations on these kids, right? Everyone is triggered. Everyone is mad. Everyone is riled up about everything. Everyone's overly emotional. Now, to the families that where their kid died, like I said, I'm sorry. And it sucks that happened. I really am. But there's nothing I can do about it. And if you tell me that what you can do is these gun laws, no. I'm not enforcing any gun laws. These people who are caught with guns illegally, if they're not supposed to have one, their punishments should be severe. Most of these gun crimes aren't committed by law-abiding gun owners. I support my Second Amendment. And I support the Second Amendment for everybody. Don't tell me who qualifies to get one either. Because I know when they were writing up the Constitution, they didn't say certain people can't have them. Mentally or non-mentally. Who are you to tell somebody that they're crazy? Now, if you're a violent person, you're going to show signs that you're violent. Right? And I can possibly see them saying, nah, you don't need one. But see, that's why they put on there that if you commit a felony, you cannot own a gun. So, how are these felons getting these guns? Look, you know, we've had a lot of shootings at schools lately. And I didn't see all that when I was growing up at school. You see a lot of fights, but you didn't see a lot of shootings. Right? This is getting out of control. But the punishment for doing it is what? What is a punishment for a child who does something like this? Life in prison? You know, he goes into juvie or goes into these TYC or something like that. And then when he gets older, then he goes to state. What? These kids aren't scared of what the consequences are. These kids aren't stupid. These kids aren't all that crazy. I do worry though because of all the medications that a lot of these kids are on. But that's some of the things that they're going to blame too. What was the medication he was on? You know, they want to go inside of his head and try to figure out why he did it. And later on, they're going to post why he did it. But y'all adults, stop acting like you don't know what it's like to be pushed to the edge even at those ages. I really don't know what to say because it's a very sad situation. And I'm sometimes an asshole. You know, in one hand, I want them to save the boy who shot himself because of a couple reasons. I mean, that's still a life. Maybe you can find out why he did it. But it doesn't really matter why he did it. The consequences should still be the same. See, if I go out as an adult and shoot up a place and kill a couple people, I would either be sent to death depending on where I'm at or life in prison. But see, kids aren't scared of life in prison because they don't know what it's like to be in prison. They don't know what's going to happen to them when they get there. And in some cases, they may have been hoping that you killed them. They're probably hoping that they wouldn't got that far. Right? Look, one way or another, we're going to have to sit there and put before the children and put on the news something bad happening to these people who are doing this. You're going to have to make it public. You're going to have to make sure that these kids know that, hey, look, what you're about to do will lead to your death. I was watching a story on somebody else's channel whenever they were talking about the girl who killed her friend because some dude in another state asked her to do so because he said he would pay her to do so. And this was a teen girl. And she did it. Her and her friends. And when she was before the judge, she made the statement, I knew what I was doing was wrong. And in most cases, these kids know what they're doing is wrong. They know. So knowing that they're doing something wrong, they should be punished as if they knew that they were doing something wrong. But I know what the defense would say for them. Temporary insanity. He wasn't thinking clearly. But they knew. You know, it's not the law-abiding gun owners that are the problem. It's not the gun laws that are the problems. The society as itself. If you can't tell that it's society, look how angry the Democrats get when there's a Republican rally. I'll tell you, let that sink in for a second. Look at them. Look how violent they are getting. Attacking these people. When you got politicians out there saying, attack these people. You got these parents out there wishing harm on other people. And you don't think the kids are watching this? You don't think that has an influence on these children? When all they see is your anger and your frustrations, and the way that you handle it is through violence? You know, one day this will come to a stop, and it won't be because of gun laws or stuff like that. It's going to be because the punishment for doing something like this will be so drastic, will be so severe, that kids will see this and go, no, I don't want that to happen to me. And parents, come on now. Come on now. You all know what your kids are feeling and up to. Man, when my kids are feeling depressed, I can feel it. I can see it. When they're not happy, I sit there and I reach out to them and I'm like, are you okay? How was your day? Something on your mind? And when they try to push me away, I know that there's something going on. And I push even harder. I won't just take a simple yes or whatever. I don't know what was going on through this kid's head. And like I said, we'll find out. But I'm a father. And I would do anything to teach my kids what is right and what is wrong. And how to act. What to expect for your actions. But y'all keep trying to put the blame on everyone except for the kid that did it. Except for the person who commits these heinous acts on other people. I can't wait to see what the update says. And I can't wait to see when everybody goes public. And I'll probably do another video reporting on that. because I know what they're going to say. All these Democrats are going to keep fucking pointing the finger. And they're going to point, and they're going to point, and they're going to point at everyone except themselves. Because it's them who are going out there inciting this anger and violence. As much as they want to try to blame Trump for this. Because I know that that's the next thing they're going to say. Trump is the reason why he's doing this or did this. But in reality, you people, your anger and your hatred and your reasoning and your logic for your actions, y'all are the reason why stuff like this is happening. I want to see a Democrat stand up on the stage and not point the finger at someone else and say, I am responsible. I'm sorry. I know we've been riling up the bases. We've been riling up people to get them angry and get them involved in our hatred for Trump. And we're sorry. This isn't how we're supposed to act. When we disagree with someone, we shouldn't get violent. But we'll see what the story looks like. So, I'll catch y'all out later. Alright? Holla.